Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dirty Side of the Grid podcast, where we've turned up late to qualifying, but I sellotaped our Ferrari engine before we started the race, so we didn't retire, and we got the automatic victory. You love to see it. My name is Mohammed, and I'm joined by my co-host Youssef, and we're here to talk about the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which was, Youssef, you got anything to say about it?
Not really. I didn't fully watch it. Yeah, that's when you know something's wrong when one of us hasn't actually watched the race. You just have low expectations.
See, I hope you'll appreciate the honesty. It's fine. Do you know what? I haven't actually been that interested. To be perfectly honest, I actually just don't care anymore. Like I was watching qualifying, yeah, and even when it got to the final runs, I was in bed with my laptop and I was on Twitter the whole time. Was I on F1 Twitter? Sometimes. I even got bored of that at some point. So I was just sat there, barely watching it. I'd hear Crofty scream a little bit. Someone might touch the wall. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's just I'm not that invested anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this a few weeks back. Actually, I think we did an episode a few weeks back, where I mentioned that like you watch F1, you see all the episodes, you do all of this, and then you're like, yeah, I'm kind of bored. I don't want to watch the race really. You see the race and you're like, yeah, so what? Like qualifying's happening, you're like, I missed the fantasy thing. Maybe next week. I think it's mainly because we have been filming for quite a bit. It's been quite a few months, so that's probably why. But
let us know. Actually, it's quite interesting because I feel like I don't know. It might be the confirmation bias, but I'm seeing it in other places as well. Maybe it's just the Lewis Hamilton side of things because obviously with him now, wherever he is on the field is not as interesting for his fans. But like at the
crying
same
face
time,
emoji.
it is so annoying. But at the same time, like I don't know if you're fans of other drivers or whatever. I don't know. Are you still? I'm sure Ferrari is still really passionately invested in what's going on. They might emotionally detach themselves from the racing at some point, but I'm not sure. It's just a little bit doesn't hit the same. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get into it along with the rest of the stuff. But first, we will begin as usual with the unrelated thing of the week. So, Youssef, do you have like a random fact or something for us?
It's a video of basically. It was made actually a long time ago, but I found it recently. It's a video that makes fun of the whole season. So they essentially try and explain everything that happened with a funny reason. So Max in Silverstone, he's allergic to the apex. Max at Monza, he pulled out some karate moves, stuff like that. So it's a very funny video. Like if you watch it, they make fun of like everything that happened across the whole season, basically. It's a summary of last season, but a comedy version of it.
Okay, well, I'll have to link that below in the YouTube video. I might do it in the audio. If you don't see it in the audio description, it's in the YouTube. Go there. That actually reminds me as well. There's I think they're Spanish, and it's like one of them like bad quality. I mean, to be honest, it's not even. It's actually like I don't know how to describe it. It's like those children's videos where they have the animations and they sing like nursery rhymes or something and it looks really creepy. Imagine that, but a summary of the race with commentary. But it's so random. Like it's so random. Alonso's called Magic Alonso. He'll like dive down the inside, hold people up, end up winning the race. So it's not like fully accurate. Verstappen got sent to jail a couple races ago. Can't remember why, but he got sent to jail. Uh, it's hilarious, honestly. Whenever it comes out, I see it on my Twitter and like people just start joking about it. Some quality memes come from there. I'll link it. It's only like 2 minutes long or something. It's a great YouTube channel. They tweet it. It's worth watching. I feel like I don't know. You won't get it until you watch it, if that makes sense.
It reminds me a bit
something else to
of.
watch.
I don't know why it reminds me a bit of Tuned from your explanation.
Yeah. Imagine Tuned, but made by like I imagine just a Spanish man in his garage or something. So.
They're professional.
Well, I mean, maybe. Who knows? Okay, we'll
Does it
move on
end?
from that because
Does
I
it
don't know
end
where
up?
to go
Does it
next.
end up with Fernando winning every single race?
Oh, I don't think so, but purely because Checo being Mexican, he's not Spanish, but like they're Spanish links, so they quite like him, and Science as well. So I feel like Alonso always has a good race, I think, but he doesn't always win. But I feel like he always does something positive. So if
Depends that the positive depends on how you look at it, basically. Like him holding up everyone,
yeah,
positive for him, not positive for everyone.
exactly. But even then, no one's crying about bias on Twitter, so clearly it's top quality journalism. So if you haven't seen the race like Youssef and you want a quality summary, watch the video because you'll know exactly what happened with no biases and completely accurate race results.
Of course, of
Um,
course.
all right, in terms of news, the first thing, actually, you know what? I'm gonna order it like this. Recently, Youssef's been on a streak. Uh, everything that I see on Twitter, all the main discussion points that happen, everything that people are talking about, we can't even we're just ahead of the curve, really. Like the conversations that happen on this podcast are happening weeks in advance of everyone else purely because Yusuf's coming up with these things. The first one I saw like literally half an hour ago. There were rumors of Oscar Piastri going to Williams for, I think it's next year, but some people are saying maybe midway through this year. And then Williams would switch from Mercedes to Renault engines. There are the main discussion points in general, we'll skip over them so we can discuss, are um, Ferrari and their reliability, whether Charles is actually going to continue with them if they carry on like this, because why would he stay if they're performing like this? You know, he's clearly a very talented driver, blah, blah, blah. We've already talked about that. And then the other one is porpoising safety. Obviously, there are videos of Lewis Hamilton getting out of his car in severe pain. There's him on the radio talking about it. There's other drivers as well, loads of quotes from different drivers. And now there's discussions about the FIA getting involved for the sake of driver safety, which is also something Youssef mentioned, I think. What was it, last week or the week before? I can't remember, but
There's one more thing. You missed one more thing.
yeah.
The F1 is in negotiations with South Africa to bring it back to the
Oh
grid next
yeah.
year. I
Yeah.
did mention that, but I mentioned it when we did our. I think it was in January when we did our favorite track type video, Dream Track. I
That was
mentioned
a
it.
good video.
It was a very long time ago, and only someone who's actually been following along, like, and watching all the videos would know. But we did mention like South Africa coming back, and it's nice to see like a race in Africa.
Yeah,
Will be,
yeah.
will be. Once we get the
I
confirmation. I don't want to
we
get
need
too
to like
excited now.
listen, Ted Kravitz, bro, imagine the scenes of us carrying this podcast to big viewership. I end up going to South Africa with a mic in my hand as part of some sort of commentary team or like social media something with a brand, and I meet Ted Kravitz there in South Africa. It's gonna happen. I know you've gone silent because you know it's gonna happen, so it's mine.
Sure, 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 sure.
Well, okay, so do you want to
I don't
comment
want
on
to
the
ruin your dreams. I don't want to ruin your dreams, so I'm just
it'll
gonna say
happen,
quiet.
bro. I'm manifesting. I'm one of those guys in it. I'm gonna turn into one of them finance people.
Of course,
I'm one of the crypto lads.
of
All
course.
right. So did you did you want to comment on Piastri going to Williams?
It's probably gonna be for Latifi, obviously. Like Latifi is gonna
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Obviously, like the main reason for Latifi saying was they get a bit of experience. Obviously, they didn't want to have to, let's say, like a new driver. Like they have two new drivers. Let's say, Albon has raced in F1, but he didn't have experience with the team. He was involved with the team before, so it'd be kind of a very new environment for him and stuff. Bringing in Piastri with how Latifi's been performing, it's kind of like he's not really been doing that well. Like he's not kind of like he's been improving. Like if you look at his results over the past few seasons, he has actually been improving ever so slowly. But now it's kind of like he's not really performing. So I can see Piastri going to Williams. Williams won't lose that much in terms of like funding from like his side, and they can make up that money if they switch to Renault and get a Renault engine. The issue is, um, the issue is the unreliability or the underperformance of the Renault engine. But then the Mercedes engine is trash now, so you're like,
Might be worth the risk. Yeah, I mean they're last at the moment. They're extremely slow. They might as well have a little gamble and try it because, like you said, like Albon's like got some sort of experience now, but you don't need like I know with the amount of time and money they're going to be wasting with Latifi in the car, they might as well just go for it and try something because if the car's awful now and then it's suddenly got good next year with Latifi in the car next year as well, that's such a waste of good potential. Because the moment they have a good car, he's not going to bring in results, and then you're missing out on points. There's only two drivers with 0 points, and it's Mick Schumacher and this Nicholas Latifi. So you might as well just, show Oscar some love early, develop him during his career. Maybe he'll have some loyalties to the team, and he might stay for longer when you're actually performing or something.
but that's the thing. If he does go to Williams now, he's going with relation to Renault, so he would actually. Oh. He would. Sorry, he would end up he would end up leaving at some point to Renault. So it's not like a long-term plan, let's say. Like they'd have him for a year, maybe two. Like they'd have kind of like a George situation where they maybe have him for 2 years, maybe a year and a half at max. I don't see him staying. Maybe like if he comes midway through this season, probably half of the season next season, and then probably he'll leave.
Yeah,
Is
that makes sense.
is it worth switching to a slower engine for that? Like even with the unreliability of the Mercedes engine, all of that, you know that with the new regulations coming in and stuff, it is a lot more reliable. It's a lot better than Renault one. So why switch to an underperforming, unreliable engine for that?
But at the same time,
Unless you're saving a lot of money and you can make up that money, like Renault or like Alpine or Renault have actually been performing quite well with the Renault engine this year. They're getting up there. So they're like, let's say they're not like they're in the top 8, top 10 quite regularly, even with an underperforming, unreliable engine. So if you get that and you save actually quite a lot of money from the engine, so if they save a lot of money, then they can invest all of that money into the design of the car and aerodynamics and such, and they could
that's
actually
what I'm saying.
make up for that deficit.
Yeah, because the thing is, for them to keep Oscar, they don't need to be better than Alpine, and they also don't need to be performing very well. They just need to prove that they have the potential to do better than them, or they have like long-term future plans, which obviously every team has long-term future plans, but like if you lay out your like career path, your like future path, you say in the next 5 years, but basically what Alpine have been doing this whole time, if you sell them a dream, then you've just bought yourself time. Like if you tell them, listen, when the regulations come in 2025, 2026, we're going to be there at the front. We're going to be dominating the sport for the next 5 years. And you go on about how you're going to do that and you're going to hire new people and spend more money and make the car better. And you found some incredible new innovation that even Adrian Newey hasn't seen. Then he's going to want to stay for at least a little bit longer. And now you've bought yourself a little bit more time with him in the car, which could mean more points, which could mean more money, and then you keep the cycle going. And obviously that can't last forever, but like at a certain point, like just a little bit of progress will be enough to confirm that. So you just kind of, like, I don't know, it does sound like some sort of pyramid scheme, like scam or something, but like all they have to do is just say like, listen, we know what we're trying to do, and you're going to help us get there, and we're committed to this cause or whatever. And as long as they can try and prove that they're going to be better than Alpine, and they have like a way of doing that, then they could have a little bit longer.
I think like I don't think they necessarily have to switch to a Renault engine. Like if they kick out Latifi, they get Oscar in. It's a good deal, you know. Like they get Oscar. Obviously, there's the issue with the engine and like him feeding like not results, but like data back to Renault because he's technically a Renault driver and that. But there wasn't Carlos Sainz. He was loaned from Red Bull to Renault, and they
Yeah,
had a different engine manufacturers at that point. Was it not? They had Honda. No,
I think did they not have the same? I think they had the same at
did they
that
have?
point.
Did they have? Oh, maybe they had the same engine. I don't remember. But that could be one thing. Like they maybe try and keep the engine. I'd say that with the amount of talent you have in F2, you don't necessarily need to sacrifice your engine to woo someone into coming into your team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because the amount of drivers Red Bull has, that realistically one or two of them will actually end up driving F1. The rest would just end up going home. You just need one of them that is very talented. Convince one of them to end his contract with Red Bull and sign with you, and he gets a chance in F1, even if it's like mid-season or like from next year. You don't need to go like Oscar Piastri, great driver, all of that, but you have Callum, he's with Ferrari, but you know, you're like, cut your ties with Ferrari, come with us, you get a drive. You're not gonna get a drive in F1 with Ferrari.
Yeah.
Come, we'll give you a drive this year. We'll give you a seat this year. So I think at that point you think, do I give up my driver academy seat for an F1 seat? Yes. Like no one's gonna like, yeah, it's not the great team, but then you have a chance to prove yourself in F1. And if you prove yourself in F1, you can move up the ladder. And then so I don't see, like, Williams have had the Mercedes engine for a very long time, and I don't see them going to a team that has, like, in the past, like, say 10 years, they have not actually produced a good engine. You get what I mean? They've always been plagued by unreliability. They've always been plagued by issues, all of this. Why go to a team that hasn't, like, historically, perhaps they were good, but as in, like, now they haven't proven themselves since, like, what, 2006, maybe? That's when the last time they had, like, a really good engine. Since then, okay, like let's include the Vettel kind of Red Bull era. So like 2013.
Oh yeah, I mean,
from 2013, that's almost like 2022. Since then, they've just been on a downhill kind of track. Why go to a team like that? When realistically, like I'd say, if they go more for, I want a Honda engine, I want a Red Bull engine now, or why not go to Red Bull? Go to Red Bull, be like, okay, I want a Red Bull engine, and I'll take one of your junior drivers, which they've got like a lot of talented junior drivers.
That's such, yeah.
Why not just go to Oscar and be like, okay, we'll give you a full F1 contract, just leave the Renault driver academy. You know, we've got links with Mercedes, we've got links like higher up the grid with Aston Martin, all of that. If you perform well, you could be in like a Mercedes down the line. Realistic, because Mercedes does, you know, George Russell came to us. Obviously, he's a Mercedes driver that way, but George Russell came to us, and now he's in a Mercedes. Bottas was in our team, and he went on to Mercedes. So if you jump in our car, even without that, why not give up your, like, this is the one point I don't actually see, which is, why would Williams not just try and convince the drivers to leave their driver academy for an F1 seat? Because they will do it. Because they know that Renault and Red Bull are like, they will not give them a seat in F1.
Yeah. So do Williams not see their full-on negotiating power because they've spent so long at the back of the grids?
No, I think they realize that. Like, people realize how big an F1 seat is, because there are only 20 of them, and realistically, like, half of them are untouchable. So they're only like, not half of them. There are only like 5 that are realistically, or less, that are realistically available year on year. So to get into F1 is incredibly hard, and it's a big bargaining chip for like the teams. And like, realistically, like Mercedes, if you say we're bringing in like a talent like this, we'll develop him, and in a few years you could maybe go to like Mercedes, you could have him alongside George Russell. Mercedes would be like, cool, yeah, we'll give you the engine, keep providing with the engine and parts. See, that's the thing. Williams does not just buy an engine from Mercedes, they buy parts from Mercedes. Like, they actually buy other parts as well. So leaving Mercedes is not just about changing an engine, which they're going to have to change basically, like, because the engines are slightly different. So they're going to have to change this chassis a bit. It's not just that. They actually buy parts from Mercedes. So they're going to have to either, Mercedes might not want to sell them these parts anymore because there's, like, data might get to Renault. So it's a lot bigger than I think people realize.
Interesting. No, I'm not sure actually. It's a good point, to be fair. Like, it does make you wonder why they're not doing that. You have, because, like, I don't know, it just seems so obvious. Like, you get him in, but obviously when you hear all these discussions, it seems like a given, like, oh, he just comes with his Alpine contract. Like, this is Oscar, this is him and his Alpine contract. They're stapled together. Like, he just comes with it. But in reality, like, he either sits and waits for that Alpine seat, which, to be fair, he should have got in the first place. I think, was it Jack Aitken who went to Williams 2020? Because when Alonso came back to Alpine, pretty much their entire academy was just like, oh, so we're useless pretty much.
Yeah.
Because instead of using any of them, they just brought back a 40-year-old. So now you're just like, okay, cool. So we're just not going to get this seat.
He left for the Williams Driver Academy.
Yeah, I think so. And then he got that one race when George stepped in for Lewis because of COVID.
Yeah.
So it's a good point. It's happened before. Especially the Red Bull ones as well, actually. Because obviously, yeah, the Red Bull are definitely known for shove him in the car. Is he fast? No, all right, get rid of him, sort of thing. So if you tell them like, oh, okay, cool. Even if we've had our fair share of awful drivers, but we've stuck by them. So if you're not performing instantly, don't worry. Like, we'll have patience with you. Come with us, and we'll like develop you and all of this stuff. Because obviously you've got talent. I don't know. We'll see. Obviously nothing's signed yet, so maybe something could still happen. There could still be changes.
I see Toto making a few calls because Mercedes makes quite a bit of money from those engines, so they won't want to kind of give up that. There's also influence.
True. Yeah.
There's also influence. He won't want to give that up because Red Bull has Red Bull and AlphaTauri. Ferrari has Ferrari, Haas, and someone
Alfa
else.
Romeo.
Alfa Romeo. And Mercedes has Aston Martin and Williams. And they use that when you're wanting to push something through, basically. You just lean on those teams a bit. If he loses that, he loses a bargaining chip when he's going through stuff like that. So he will not necessarily want to give up that power total, like in a grand scheme of things, because it can mean stuff where perhaps, like, say, Red Bull getting concessions with the new engines. Like they were going to get, I think, extra 50 million a year or something. That's what they wanted. And he's against that. Now, if he loses the voting right, that could be a big thing. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, F1 politics. It's confusing.
Anyways.
I hate F1 politics. What else has happened? Okay.
Safety.
Let me think. Wait, okay, first of all, Lewis Hamilton is directing a film with Brad Pitt about F1. Have you seen any F1 films? And if so, what's your favorite?
Rush.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Is that the only one? I feel like there aren't a lot of American. I don't think there's a lot of F1 films.
That's the only one that comes to mind is Rush. But it's a good movie. It's a very good movie.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Niki Lauda, absolute legend. 1976 season. Oh yeah, James Hunt as well. You might like him as well. I think he's meant to be the hero essentially, but
yeah,
I prefer
basically.
Niki Lauda, to be honest. I much
I
prefer
think
Niki.
when you know about Nicky, you prefer him, but the way the movie portrays it is from James Hunt's kind of point of view, rather than Nicky's point of view. But yeah, it's a good movie. I think overall good movie. It shows kind of how dangerous it was to drive cars back then, and how difficult it was to drive a car. I think people don't realize how actually difficult it is to drive an F1 car until they go like go karting, and they realize like, oh, I'm terrible at driving this, and then they're like, imagine driving an F1 car, like you're going to 40 miles an hour and you're like panicking. Imagine going to like 300 kilometers an hour and you're like it's it's intense.
We should do that, We should actually go karting. That'd be fun.
I went recently, but with my friends, but they didn't have a concept of what the inside line was. They just smack you right out. Like, that's not what you do. That's like literally if you go, they just like you're going into the corner, it's your corner, and then just someone hits you at the back and you're in the barrier. Like, why?
That's
Like,
tragic.
yeah, it's so sad, man.
I'm definitely going this.
They basically watched a bit too much of Max like when he was a kid. They're just going and they wanted a crash, bro. They literally wanted to crash.
That was literally my friend. I had my friend over watching the race, and just afterwards, I got my steering wheel out, and we went on the F1 game. And he was honestly the little red arrow on the F1 game means that someone's alongside you. So it's white, meaning they're close, and then it will go red once they've got like their front wing alongside you, which means that they deserve space. Because if you turn in on them, you're going to spin your own car because they're going to tap your rear wheel, and then you're going to be the one spinning. Every time, it doesn't matter what color the arrow was, it doesn't matter if he could see them, if he couldn't, if I told him they were there, he would just turn in on them, leave them no room, and then end up spinning and then complain that it was their fault. So he's a Max fan, and that was definitely Max inspired. So the next story pretty much is about Charles Leclerc and his pole position. I mean, it was a great lap. He did incredibly well. So we can mention that first. But the thing that comes with it is his pole to win conversion rate is pretty horrible at the moment.
Yeah, Max has won more races from a Charles pole than Charles has won from a Charles pole. That's such a sad
Yeah,
stat. Like
it's awful. I think
when your rival has won more races from your poles than he's won from, like, is it like, bro, that's
if
so
he
sad.
gets pole in Canada, then he's gonna cry because it means that Max is now more likely to win than he
Yeah,
is.
but even if he gets P2, Max is more likely to win. So he's basically screwed.
Yeah, that is. I mean, the lap was incredible. It came out of nowhere. We weren't expecting him to put it on pole, and then he goes like what 4/10 faster than the next person. So it was great from him, but like I don't know, he's just so unlucky. That's now what twice in the last was the one before this Monaco. I think it was. So that's what twice in the last two that it wasn't his fault. So I mean, with what we were saying earlier, like at what point does he lose patience with Ferrari and just say, you know what, I want to go somewhere else?
I think it's gonna take a bit. Like, I think if this season continues this way, perhaps by the end of the season might be the case. I think there'll be a few issues with him leaving, where regarding he has a long-term contract, so they'll have to buy him out and such. And it depends which team has the money, which team has the would want to spend that much money. You know, like the only team I see maybe going for it would be Mercedes, but that'd be only if Lewis retires.
Yeah.
That'd be a great team, to be fair. But as in,
Yeah, imagine Leclerc and George at Mercedes if Mercedes were good.
but then why would he go to Mercedes where he is less likely to win races? Like, realistically, if he looks around, the only other team he'd want to go to is Red Bull, where they just signed Sergio on for like 2 more years. Max is going nowhere, so he's not really stepping into that team. So the only other team you can look at is Mercedes. So by the end of the season, if they're winning, perhaps that's one thing you can look at. But I think by the end of qualifying, George, who is ahead of Lewis again, by the way, George is outperforming Lewis by a margin this season. No luck, no luck. This is pure performance. Yeah,
Whoa, 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 whoa.
just wanted to throw that in. George
Yeah,
was like
yeah, yeah.
what 1.5 seconds behind Max. No, sorry, behind Leclerc. He like I was watching his interview. He's like, we were 1.5 seconds behind. 1.5 seconds. Just think about that. He was P5, and he's a second and a half behind pole. Like, why would you leave Ferrari? Obviously, Ferrari are terrible, none of that. But even if you don't win the championship, at least you win a few races.
Yeah, yeah,
If you go to Mercedes, you're a second and a half behind in qualifying in your best, like your car is in its best kind of like trim, whatever,
yeah.
and you're a second and a half behind.
But the thing
That's
is though, is it
depressing.
the hope is, would you assume Mercedes is an easier team to like develop with you, if that makes sense? Because you can put your heart and soul into fixing Ferrari, which is a completely fair point. You know, we keep going on about leaving, but obviously the other option is you put your heart and soul into building that Ferrari team, you help them develop the car, blah blah blah, and all the rest of it. But the problem is, so many drivers have tried to do that and they've failed. Like Alonso tried it, Vettel tried it, both much more experienced at the time and more successful. So they were older, you know, they had like more races, they had more wins, they knew how to win championships. Leclerc is like brand new in this, which the only thing that means, the only advantage he has in comparison to them is that he has more time. But do you want to be wasting more time trying to fix them? Or do you
I
want to
think
just take
one
a
thing
risk?
to say is the issue isn't developing the car. Like the issue isn't I'm gonna take a team that is terrible and develop it and go on to win championships. Or the team that is kind of okay, but I'll take them to win championships. Like when Lewis stepped into Mercedes, that team, the team behind the scenes, had won races before. Some of them were there from when Ross Brawn was there, so had won a championship before. They had that experience, first of all. Ferrari at this point, when is the last time they've won a championship? Like, realistically,
7.
like very few people on that team actually were there when they won something. Like Mattia
Yeah.
Bonotto was there. I know because he used to tune Michael Schumacher's engine, so I know he was there.
I
But
think there's a
he
live
at that
picture
point
of him
he
as
was
well.
an engineer. He was an engineer at that point. He's a team principal. So realistically, no one else was there. Or if you were there, you weren't in the current position. So the question now is there an issue with Ferrari where Mercedes, if you go to Mercedes, yeah, they might not have the best car now, but say by the end of the season they've closed the gap and they're working their way up. I'd take, like, I put my money on, like, I don't bet, but like I put my money on Mercedes because Ferrari don't have necessarily, like, you know how we were talking last year about the difference between McLaren and Mercedes in Russia, where McLaren screwed up their win
Oh,
because
yeah.
they did not have the experience of being a lead car in the wet and like in races like this, how to direct your driver, what to do, telling him to pit, being kind of like you have to pit, as opposed to Mercedes where they told it you have to pit, you have to come in. The It's very different in that sense because they know what they're doing. They've done it so many times. They've won so many races. They've won so many championships. So I'd say if you go to Mercedes and they have the car, you know that that team is going to win or is going to be very close to winning. Ferrari, they can have the car, but the team's so terrible, you know, like they're going to screw up somehow. Like, how do you screw up a Monaco lead, bro? If they just like, literally, if they just like pit one, like, if they copied Verstappen's strategy, he was ahead by so much, he would have won the race. Then they go on and do some weird ass strategy and lose. They don't even lose. Leclerc loses. He doesn't go to P2, P3. He's P4. How do you screw up so much? You lose 3 positions. It's not even that he was held up in the pits. He was just their strategy was so bad that they lost. Like if they literally just copied Perez, so Perez is right behind him. No, it was who was behind him. If they copied the Red Bulls, yeah, the Ferraris copied the Red Bulls, they'd be ahead
Yeah.
of them because they built up a gap, so they'd be fine. What is this? What is this? This is what I think would
I
make him
don't know.
leave is not necessarily the engineering side of it because they have developed a good car which is able to compete with Red Bull and they're able to put in kind of a challenge and perhaps on some tracks they're actually way ahead of Red Bull. It's the team that is just so unreliable in the way they take because at the end of the day you're in a car where the only stats you have are your lap times and whatever they tell you in your ear. So if you do
Yeah.
not tell me, or if you give me bad information, I can't do anything. And you're kind of limited by that. And maybe it might be the case. I know Nico Rosberg, he changed his race engineer because he used to, he sounded very down when he was speaking to him. You know, when it gets hard and then he's like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's like 20 laps to go, bro. Like he just sounded so depressed. So what he did is he worked with his race engineer on like, you need to sound like push me at that point, like
Yeah.
not like 20 laps to go. Come on, Nico, 20 laps to go, you push hard, be something like, be upbeat and stuff. So that might be something where he needs to actually sit down the team and take them to like a shrink, and be like, work out your issues because we have to win here. But yeah, we
I
need
just
kind of like
imagine, I just imagine Mattia Benotto and then Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz sat next to him, and the three of them are just like
no, but
just talking,
that's what Michael
and
did,
that's
isn't
when
it?
the engine blew up. Bro.
And then tears start coming. Uh, well, Michael came. Ferrari were unreliable as well in terms of winning championships, and he came and he developed a team. Like everyone focuses on the car, but forgets that he developed also the other side of it, which is the personnel. Let's say that's kind of what Charles has to do, and it's a big challenge. and it's something that maybe he'll be able to succeed, maybe not. Probably not, to be honest, with how reliable they are.
That reminds me, I put out a banging tweet. We actually like banged the tweet. I'm gonna link it in the thing. It was one about Ferrari in their hiring process. So if you want to put your job application, try and get onto the Ferrari pit wall, go for it. I hear they're looking for people. So if you want to fly out to Italy, live in Maranello, it's a great place. I've actually been there, not to be that guy, but beautiful spot. The
I was
you
there,
won't
yeah.
find the tweet unless you go
I
through
was
the
there.
replies. Come on, obviously.
Okay.
I'll slide in my CV under the door next time. But it's you won't see the tweet unless you go in the tweets and replies section, and then it's a picture. It's a screenshot from Cars. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm going
If
through.
you want to
I'm
see it,
actually going through to
I
check
will
out.
link it in the YouTube video. What else do we have here? Okay, before we get onto the safety one, actually, I want to mention Perez. Can you find it yet?
No,
I'll just send it to you later.
Yeah.
I'll try to spoil it. But Perez. So there was a lot of talk beforehand.
Do you have experience with tire strategies? What is a tire? Welcome to Ferrari.
Yeah, and then I responded. You've watched Cars, right? You must have seen Cars.
Yeah.
Good to see. I'm a legend. Look at me carrying the Twitter, bro. Legend. Love to see it.
Sure. Sure.
So a lot of talk
so.
beforehand was spoken about Perez and Max. Obviously now the gap between them isn't that big. So people asking Horner, you're gonna implement team orders, you're gonna do all of this. And he said no, whoever's ahead, Perez has got just as much of a chance as Max, blah blah blah. We get into the race now, and the drivers
Team
are told,
orders.
Perez is told no fighting. Now people have interpreted that into meaning that's team orders, get out of the way. Other people have said no, they meant, just nothing like stupid, as what happened in 2018. Do you think they're actually going to give Perez a fair opportunity if he's on pace?
No.
Oh, that was quick.
No. Like, let's be honest. Max isn't going to allow that to happen. Because all you can say, like, if you don't, like, Max is fighting a championship. Yeah, what's his name is close, Perez. But Max is their star. If he doesn't win, if Perez, okay, let's say Perez fights for it, they let him fight. Perez wins the championship. Max would just leave. Be like, okay, you're favoring Perez now. I'm going. And they're not going to risk, like, if Perez can win a few races, he's not necessarily going to go on to win a championship. Yes, he's going to win a few races, maybe not a championship. So Max has the higher likelihood of winning that championship. But by putting, like, not using team orders, you're putting Max's championship at risk. And if he doesn't win because you let him and Perez fight, and Perez was on like new tires and you won a few races, he's just gonna say like, well, you screwed up my championship. I'll just go to a different team. And what team would not like sell their liver to buy him? Like, just like,
yeah.
Every team wants Max, so they're just, yeah. I see. I don't see them doing it. It's also like
I feel like it's a
very
game.
Red Bull thing.
What do you mean? What to say that?
No, like they'd use team orders. Red Bull always use team orders.
I mean, so I agree with your thing about Max, because I see him sort of like Vettel, or like how Norris at the end with Ricardo was like, oh well, this is now for a race. This isn't just. So they used team orders earlier, but that was for different tire strategies. Then on the second to last lap or something, they said no, don't fight. And he says, well, what do you mean? This is for the end now. We might as well like just let me try and pass him. I feel like he would do a multi-21 kind of thing where, like, if Perez is leading and they say, all right, no, just hold position.
Oh,
like,
Max.
no.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Max
would just go for it.
We
but
get
then
a
at the same time,
multi-21 incident.
Yeah, exactly. But then if you do it the other way and you just use team orders on Perez all the time, like the moment Perez is ahead of him, you just switch them instantly. That's going to shoot his confidence. And then he might not perform as well. And then he's not going to be as motivated. And then he's not going to perform as well. And then he might just end up finishing 6th every race. So what you want to do is let them fight and then have Max naturally come out on top, because most of the time he's going to just finish ahead purely on pace anyway. But then you do run the risk of what happens if he has a couple bad performances, a couple retirements, and now Perez is genuinely ahead. I feel like it's a risk they'd be willing to take just because Red Bull is ruthless. Like Perez, when he signed that contract, he knows for a fact he's not
number 2.
really fighting. He's fighting for the championship, but he's not really fighting for the championship. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
he's
the
fighting
same
for the
way.
constructors. He's not fighting for that.
Yeah,
Let's be
they
honest,
might as well give him the constructors trophy. Yeah, he might as well keep the constructors trophy in his house because he's there. Like he's there, but he's not really involved. It's like me in a tug of war. Do you know what I mean? Like I might be on the team, but I'm not. I'm a skinny guy. I'm not involved. I'm not really doing much. You might as well put me on the other. Like I'm not making a difference. So he's there, but like it's fine. You just leave him to the side, sort of thing. Let him do his thing. Like he knows for a fact that any opportunity they're given, Max is gonna go ahead, and he can complain a little bit if he wants, but like I don't know, it's understandable, but at the same time, what
I
did he
just think like
expect?
they always do it where they don't necessarily use team orders, but they always just put Max on a better strategy where he will come out ahead.
Oh yeah, I think Perez had like a 6 second stop or something, didn't he? Like he had a
They
horrendous
don't
pit stop.
necessarily need to. They don't necessarily need to hold him up, but they just put Max on a strategy where by the end of the race he has fresher tires and he's just going to overtake Perez very easily. Job done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I
I
see
mean,
it.
Red Bull have the brain power for that.
Yeah,
Like Ferrari can't even handle Leclerc's strategy to win the race from first. But Red Bull can play chess with their own drivers to make sure Max not only finishes the race, but Perez finishes a comfortable P2, and then it looks like it's pure natural.
exactly. Yeah, I don't see like that's the thing. Like obviously Max will always come ahead. I, I don't see them having to really pull team orders unless there are issues with Max's car really. Like where he had issues with DRS and like Perez was naturally quicker.
Yeah,
That's the time where they pull like team orders, and then Perez was like, "You stole my win, you stole my win." Then he won the next race. But I think Perez will be happy if he wins a few races. He'd be happy. Like I don't
yeah,
think Perez is like if he wins a few races, he'd be happy. He's not. He knows he's not going to win a championship. Let's be honest. Max is going to win it, and he's there as support crew. But as in, if he wins a few races, that's kind of what he's after, isn't it?
yeah. You can't really ask for much more than that.
Plus, Red Bull, if he starts making a fuss and getting upset, Red Bull will just kick him out and put Gasly in his place.
True.
Honestly, like,
Yeah,
that's one thing you can guarantee with Red Bull is they're not a very kind team. Like you step out, they'll just kick you out. But then that's why they've won so much in F1. Like they won 4 back-to-back. They won with Max last year. They're realistically going to win this year. They've got a lead. Like in terms of development this year, it's insane how they won. Like, okay, they won the drivers' championship last year. Came out ahead of everyone this year. Max had 2 DNFs this year or 3 DNFs,
2. I think it's 2.
and he's ahead in the championship.
Yeah, and we're only
That tells you
that was
how
the
good the car
6th
is.
race
Yeah,
or something.
yeah, that tells you how good the
Yeah.
car is. He had 2 DNFs, and he's so far ahead of everyone else.
It's insane.
Besides Monaco, he's won pretty much every single race he's finished.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah, it's. Oh, and Oh, I know that was Monaco. Yeah,
Yes.
it's looking tough. I don't know. Every time you think it's going to be a walk in the park for some team, something happens. So maybe Ferrari are just about to have a massive momentum swing, and Canada is where it begins. We'll have to find out.
Or maybe Ferrari can go and start poaching people from other teams that are reliable. That's one thing they could do. Mercedes is not winning.
True.
They don't have the car to win. It could be time for Ferrari to go and poach a few strategists, a few, such and such, and bring them. That could be
This is their
one thing they
chance.
could do.
This is their chance. They should do. Yeah, if Ferrari aren't looking to hire new people, change up something at the very least, because they always fire team principals and they switch out their team very quickly. But
Yeah, but
you
that's
don't
not the
hear as
issue,
much
isn't
about the
it?
strategists and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Like the
But I guess
team,
that's not really going to make the news. Maybe they are.
like Ferrari, let's say when Vettel had his car, Ferrari had a good enough car to fight, like maybe 2018. Like after that, then they dropped off and then it became terrible. But they had a car at one point to fight with Mercedes. And then they lost it mainly through like mistakes through strategy, mistakes through like Mercedes just outperforming them in terms of the driver and in terms of strategy. So if they need to fix that. Now they have a good driver, a good car, but they haven't fixed it. They just changed the team principle, which he changed a few things about how it's run, but you haven't changed the guys who actually take the decisions. Maybe now it's time. If you haven't won championship since 07, you need to change something. Like the guy at the top isn't the issue, it's the guys below him. Like, you know, when they change a team principle, the first thing he does is change everyone there, like basically, or like keep a few guys and change a lot of key guys there and brings in people new guys who know what they're doing. That's what Ferrari need to do now. They need to take a few guys out.
Just hard reset. Just get rid of everyone. Just start again.
Yeah.
Listen,
Maybe not the engineers, to be fair. No, the engineers. The engineers are doing a good job.
The car's good, actually, yeah.
Yeah, just the strategists and stuff. Check if they know what tires are.
I'm so proud of that tweet. I'm actually just a legend.
And
then the last thing is the porpoising safety. So as I mentioned before, back pains, injuries, complaining on the radio, visibility as well being a key thing now. That straight in Baku is 2.2 something kilometers long, and the whole way down you can hear the bottom of the car scraping against the ground. This could have long-term effects on people, and the conversation now is first of all, should the FIA get involved? And second, how do they mandate it? Like, do they tell teams, all right, you have to get rid of it? Do they research into the teams that did figure out a good way of doing it and then just give that information to the others? Would that be unfair if they do that because teams have figured it out based on pure skill and knowledge? Or do they just say, you know, we're going to measure the porpoising, which is possible, and then you need to have like a maximum level of, you know, frequency or amplitude of the bouncing. If you go over that threshold, it's too dangerous, and you just need to fix the car to make sure it's less than that.
I think what you mentioned about the frequency or like the amplitude, I think that's a good way of doing it. As in terms of, let's be honest, if you go to a team like Red Bull have sold it, go check what they did, give it to other teams. That's just what's the point of F1 then? Like, see, that's the thing. Like when they introduced these new cars with ground effect, they knew porpoising was going to be an issue, and they knew safety was going to be an issue, and they knew like drivers' health was going to be an issue, because we knew this existed. Because ground effect is not new; it's been around for a very long time in terms of even in F1 cars. So they knew this was going to happen. They knew the porpoising was going to happen. They knew it was going to be an issue. They were hoping teams, but then I think they did not think like it would be this bad, but there has to be a way to regulate it. I don't think going and telling teams you have to eliminate it or eliminate it this way is fair, because then it affects cars at the front who have done a really good job. So that's not fair. But I think a way of regulating, of saying you can't have, because now they're chasing performance and drivers are having to risk their health. So you have to limit it. Say, okay, you can't go above this. This is your threshold where at this point it's not safe, and we've done like research after this point is going to have long-term effects. That's what you do, and I think that's how you limit the teams from running after performance and necessarily putting drivers' health at kind of risk. Like, you know, Gasly posted a picture on Instagram, I think it's yesterday, and he's in the Mediterranean, and he's jokingly said, you know, the Mediterranean is calmer than Baku Straits.
I didn't see that, no, but it makes sense.
Yeah, but it's like Christian Horner came out and said that, you know, like if it's my team, I would tell them to, you know, like make a big fuss. He didn't exactly say that. He said something different, but I'm not gonna say. But to be fair, if it is his, like if it's my team, I'd tell them make a big fuss. I want the FIA to hear you making a big fuss, so they actually pay attention to this. But he also said one thing where, yeah, it's not my fault you didn't figure out an answer, is it? Like, and it's not his fault.
Yeah, but here's the problem. As much as I agree with that, and I'd love to say look, the whole point of F1 is development. The whole point is, these guys, they figured out, they solved the problem, and they made it fast. Well done to you. I'd hate to punish you, but at the same time, how many times have we seen key developments in F1 just be removed, copied, whatever it is? Like disadvantaging the winning teams happens all the time in F1. So for Horner to come out and confidently say, you know what, no, don't punish us, we're doing well. These guys, they're just complaining. They can fix it, but it would just make their car slower. So just how about you make your car slow and stop making your drivers suffer? I get that, but literally, like in the past 2, 3 years, he's got multiple quotes saying, I think I've seen like screenshots of all sorts of news articles of him going, the FIA need to punish Mercedes, they need to change the regulations, they need to stop this before the sport gets boring, they need to save the sport, they're losing viewership, help us out. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
don't know,
that
he's
was
been on
after
his
how many
knees
years of Mercedes
begging,
winning?
he's been on his knees begging for the FIA to help them out. And now, I don't know, it's hard to talk because obviously everyone has their biases. Everyone's going to say what benefits them. As much as they'd love to pretend it's about driver safety or it's about this and it's about not punishing the people who are doing well. The problem is if you just, in your head, whenever someone says anything to do with F1, you flip it around and you say, okay, well, if Horner was, I don't know, the manager of Aston Martin at the moment, would he be saying this? Of course he wouldn't. He'd be saying, all right, cool, let's fix it. I want is that because he cares about his driver's safety? Or is it because he's an Aston Martin man and he wants the Red Bull blueprints of how to make a good car? Like whatever's being said they're just politicians, bro. Like they are just
It took
genuinely
you it took you
politicians.
this long to figure
Like
out.
I've just had an enlightenment, bro. They're politicians. But like nothing being said is for anything. The only thing, like, I don't know, personally, for me, I would I wouldn't want to see the best team get punished. I wouldn't want, just okay, Red Bull, right, give your answers over. Let's copy your work. Let's see what's going on. I do think, like you said, the measuring the porpoising and then just saying, look, if your car's awful, driver safety is more important than your car performance. Make your car, this level of porpoising is safe enough that we can manage it. If your car's awful after that, that's your own fault. Go make it faster, which I've said multiple times to other teams. So I will say it now to Mercedes and all the rest of them. Just because Red Bull got it right doesn't mean you can complain. Just make your car faster, bro. Like, just you might as well. This is what you're paid to do. So
There is a
yeah,
sense of it could, like, if you do make the car slower, there'd be a lot slower, and there'd be a sense of, like, you're 2-3 seconds slower, say, in qualifying. Do you really want to see that? That's the
well,
question. But that's the issue. The FIA knew that this was going to be a problem when they introduced ground effect. And how, like, we're talking about these new cars and how they're good at following and all of this stuff. But this is a big issue. This is why, like, this is one thing that I thought at the beginning. I was very excited for this. But I was like, ground effect was removed for a reason. It wasn't the case that when it happened. Why do you think ground effect was banned? It was because of safety issues. It wasn't because it was all great and everything. And then you bring it back and you're like, oh, it's going to be great. We're not going to have any issues. It's going to be perfect. And then you have issues and you're like, oh, damn, what am I supposed to do? Why did you bring it back? Like
40
honestly,
years
I
later,
don't.
bro. Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's just figuring out after like 6, 7 races. They're like, maybe we shouldn't have brought back, like this stuff. Obviously, like it's a very obvious thing. Or like you bring it back and you introduce stuff to like regulate it. Maybe it's the case where they knew this was going to happen and they just wanted to kind of naturally develop it. So if they say from the very beginning you can't have porpoising above this level, maybe the drivers are okay with this level, but above it, then that's where it actually gets bad. So it might be the case where they're going to let the teams race for, say, half of the season, then coming with the regulations. That was their plan. Fair enough. Like they wanted to essentially put the regulation based on the actual cars, not based on like a random figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is like fair enough. But I think like forcing drivers by the age of 30. Like, to be fair, like by the age of 30, will they be able to drive? Will it actually have significant effect that needs to actually be researched? Like, drivers say that, oh, you know, like by the age of 30 you'll be retiring, but is it really the case? Or are these drivers playing their team games? Like, are they just saying this because their team told them to do it and they don't actually think it's this way?
I
There
don't want
needs
to believe that just because
it
Horner
needs to
said it.
be no, it needs to be backed by Horner said that it would affect the driver's health.
No, as in them playing it up for the cameras and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. That's what every team
It's a
does.
fair point, but I don't want to believe it because Horner said
No,
it.
no, as in if you're gonna change the way F1 is regulated, if you're gonna introduce limits on porpoising and this stuff, it needs to be backed by evidence. I'm not saying like uh, screw the drivers. I'm saying that okay, actually, like go and study and see at which point is the bounce. Obviously, because obviously it is battery health. Like it looks like it.
Yeah,
It's
but
not fun.
no, I see what
But
you're
at
saying. You've
which
got to
point
make
is
it an
it actually
engineering
scientific?
problem.
Yeah, yeah. At
Yeah,
which
you
point?
can't just pluck a number out of thin air. You need to
Exactly,
say,
exactly.
yeah, I
This
see
is
what you mean.
based on this evidence. If you do it that way, no one's gonna say. Even Red Bull, like if they do that, like if they introduce the limit of porpoising, it actually benefits Red Bull because the other cars
Oh
behind them
yeah,
are gonna be slow.
yeah,
So it's not a bad thing for the leaders. It's actually a good thing. It's a bad thing for other teams because now they're way slower than they were before. But like I guess like the only thing I'm saying is they need to actually have evidence of why they're choosing the limit they are choosing. You don't just go and choose a random limit and be like, that looks good, you know. I'm gonna stick with this one. But why?
yeah.
They need to take that into consideration. But we'll see. Like apparently the drivers had, you know, they have their association. They had a meeting and they spoke about this. And
Yeah.
the most outspoken ones I've seen so far has been like Lewis. Uh, I don't
Makes
know if he
sense.
actually spoke about it, but I saw him like limping, and so he's been outspoken about it on the radio. George and Gasly, I've seen Gasly speak quite a bit about
I've heard Gasly no, Ricardo as well mention it.
it.
Ricardo's also spoken a little bit, so I've seen a quote from him.
But
So
Ricardo, this is
we'll have
his
to
last
see.
season in F1, so why is he complaining? Why are you laughing? It's the truth.
Not
Is it
gonna
funny?
affect him anyway, is it?
Is
It's
it?
not gonna
Yeah.
affect.
Why are you laughing? It's not funny. It's the truth.
We'll see. You know what? You've been on a streak of predictions, so I won't even talk too much. I can't even disagree with that. It's not something that I'd fight for.
I'm
So
staying in F1.
yeah, I know we spoke about it last week. All right, on to the actual race. I don't know how, but every time there's a boring race, these podcasts end up longer because we fill it in for pure entertainment reasons, so we can avoid speaking about the race. So we will get into it. Oh my God, we haven't even done the 60-second summary, but all right, 60 seconds because that was oh my
It's not
God.
gonna take me even 10 seconds, bro.
This could be.
With
I
how
mean,
much
normally
we're
you're
talking
aiming
about?
for 60 seconds, but do you want to try to do it as fast as possible?
Okay, you can time it and see how long it takes me to do it.
All right, you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Charles takes pole. Mercedes are behind by 1.5 seconds. Race, Ferrari are destroyed. All Ferrari engines fail, basically. Max wins. Team orders at Red Bull. And not everyone's not sure about that. George P3 again. He's finished in top 5 every race, basically, so far, destroying Lewis. Yeah, that's everything. I just had to include the destroying Lewis thing just to annoy you.
Nice, yeah. Even time to spare as well, of course. You got 22.8 seconds.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's pretty good to be fair. That's like what a pit stop. Or no, like the whole pit stop phase, pit lane included. Pretty quick. Quality stuff. Love that. So that was the whole weekend. I feel like just ending it there to be honest. But we'll do the what do we have? So
Fantasy stuff.
no,
Predictions.
we'll do best performance. We need to mention some performances here. Who would you say was your best performance of the race?
I didn't really watch it, so I don't know.
I mean, I can throw some names in there. So Max will obviously get a mention for winning. I mean, he didn't exactly do much, but well played to
George.
him.
George gets a mention for coming up P3 again.
George, Yeah, he'll get a mention. He literally overtook. I think I saw somewhere he didn't overtake anyone. Like he
Okay.
fully just didn't have to overtake anyone. So fair play to him because he just qualified well, got the position, and then waited for the retirements. So he did well. I want to mention Lewis. Obviously, I'm going to mention Lewis, but like the
Ah,
double stack from Mercedes cost him so many positions, plus the porpoising and all of that stuff with his back pains. Finishing fourth after all of that, I think he was 11th at some point. I've got to give him credit because the Mercedes is literally slowest on the straights. So sure, yeah, the straight's the
sure.
only place you can overtake, but like the guy is bouncing up and I put out another tweet, which is he's out here overtaking people in 3 dimensions because obviously, you can drive left and right, forwards and backwards, but he's also going up and down. So Lewis Hamilton is the greatest of all time in 3 dimensions. You love to see it.
I
Who else do
disagree with that, but okay.
we have? I mean, Gasly did well. He's finally got a bit of luck on his sides. Good performance from him. Vettel never gets a mention, and those ratings. So a lot of podcasts and articles and all of this, they love doing ratings. So at the end of the weekend, they'll like rate every driver's performance from 1 to 10, and then add it all up and blah blah blah. Vettel, like, well, I know when these have come out because I'll get a spam of Vettel people on my feed just talking about how harshly he's been done over, and it's completely fair because Vettel always gets completely screwed by these ratings. He came sixth in the Aston Martin, did very well in qualifying. He's finished very high up. He's driven a quality race other than that one time he overshot it into the corner and had to spin around to save himself. But I think he didn't pit after the early stop from the VSC because of science. To stretch those tires to the end and blah 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 and all the rest of it, fair play to him. So that's a lot of points right there. I don't see where was Stroll. Stroll was 16th. He didn't finish. So
Stroller doesn't exist, bro.
he literally doesn't. So yeah, I think Vettel definitely gets a big mention. The rest of them, Alonso 7th. That's basically where you'd expect him. He did okay, but yeah, I'd say mainly those guys.
I'd say Gasly gets in a shot. I'd say Gasly probably best performance. For him
Yeah,
to come P5
yeah,
is pretty
yeah,
impressive.
I'll agree with that. We'll give Gasly. Yeah, Gasly's a good shout. Worst
Ricardo came ahead of
performance.
Norris, bro. Whoa. Worst
Yeah,
performance,
just slightly mention that. But
Ferrari. It's
yeah,
not even a
Ferrari
driver,
power
bro.
units.
No,
Ferrari
no,
power
no, no.
units.
It's not even, it's not even a driver. It's the actual team. Ferrari is just terrible, bro. No.
The
There's one thing I actually wanted to
nominations
mention.
are Ferrari and Ferrari power units.
Exactly. There's one thing I wanted to mention. You know how we spoke about Sainz? I think we spoke about this recently. Sainz perhaps leaving Ferrari because Mick Schumacher is going to step in to Ferrari and stuff. I was reading that Gunther Steiner was talking about how Mick has to stop with these crashes and because it costed them quite a bit of money, and how Magnussen has been scoring points and he's basically been awful this season. He scored no points this season in a car that realistically should be in the points.
Yeah.
Do you see? Obviously, I don't think we see him in Ferrari next season. Maybe this season. I know everyone was like, last season is his first season. He gets better in his second season, gets used to formula, everything. What are your thoughts on Mick Schumacher, his performances so far, and like
Ooh, okay. I
it's been
think
underwhelming, very underwhelming.
the problem is I feel like he generally will be given a bit more like leeway than other drivers because of his name. So that's fair. I feel like not fair, but I mean it's expected. So I feel like whether we see him or not next year will purely depend on if he shows glimmers of hope. Like honestly, one standout performance, like a solid P7 or something, when Magnussen is struggling in 16th or something, and then maybe a second one will be enough for him. I don't know if he'll actually do that, but I feel like just a couple things. So when people say, "Oh, Mick crashes all the time, he's bad," blah blah blah, and then you just go, "Oh, remember when he got P7 in Spa, or remember when he got P6 in Zandvoort?" Like if he just has like a couple good performance, you can be like, "Oh, look, the talent's still there. Clearly, he just needs a bit more time." If he carries on crashing, he carries on doing badly. If he shows nothing, or even if he comes consistently like 12th, if Magnussen's obviously finishing like 7th or 6th or something around then, if he's
Do you
being
see him?
consistently
Do you see him?
outperformed. he's getting kicked.
Do you see him leaving F1 this season? Because I think even if he performs very badly, I don't see him being kicked out
Really,
past this year. Yeah,
I think
I
if he
think
carries on like this, he's going.
people underestimate how big his dad's name is, which is
No,
unfair.
nah,
Which is unfair
surely.
because I think like with the way he's performed last year, you're like, okay, he's in a terrible car and he beat his teammate, which is like he had to be his teammate. The guy
Yeah,
scored like the guy made it seem like he did so well in Russia. He knew the clouds were coming before he came last. You're unlapping yourself. Like, what a joke. But anyways, moving on. This year he's being destroyed. Like he doesn't have a point in a car that realistically got P5 at one point, like pure pace. Not even P5 on like it got P5 on merit, and he was like at the end of the what? Yeah, I don't see him leaving F1, but I can see Gunter Steiner being very frustrated if he keeps crashing. I think that would be the deciding factor. If he doesn't crash, but he's performing okay, I see him staying. If he keeps crashing and he keeps wasting their money, I see him going. Because now with
I
the budget cap and stuff, you don't have the money to be able to cover for stuff like this.
yeah. But what? So what, is it sponsor money or is it the surname? Because Ferrari want him. Like, what would keep
I
him?
think they want him for the surname, no, not the sponsor money.
Ah, okay. Surely the nostalgia goes at some point. Like Bruno Senna was tragic in like
Yeah,
what
true,
2012.
true. That's what I'm saying. If he keeps crashing like he's crashing now, especially with the budget cap, he'll go. Like he'll go because they don't have the resources to keep covering for stupid crashes that are like his crashes make no sense. Like honestly, they make no sense. He crashes and you're like, who are you racing? Like, bro, like what?
Yeah, I mean, what even? So he finished ahead of Latifi, and that's it. This race.
Exactly. When you finish just ahead of Latifi, bro, who got a 5 second penalty for blue flags, you know
Oh yeah,
something's wrong, man. Like he finished how like okay, it just says +1 lap, wasn't it? But like he finished not far ahead, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
it's tough. I see
Anyways,
him
move
going.
on because I'm getting
Yeah, we'll
frustrated.
move on from that. Underrated. I mean, we mentioned Vettel because of the ratings and
Yeah, I'd
stuff.
say Vettel.
I feel
Vettel,
like
Alonso as well. I'd say Vettel and Alonso.
yeah, I guess yeah, Alonso's decent. You know what? McLaren have done not bad. I feel like recently
Ricardo's
they have
ahead of Norris,
been
bro.
so well allow McLaren. Yeah, Ricardo ahead of Norris. Who would have thought? I don't
The
know
first, I think
where
it's like
that
the
came
first
from.
time this
Don't know how.
season.
Probably. And the best part is the stories happened again where it's like, oh, Ricardo's finished ahead of Norris. This could be it. This could be the momentum change. I hope it carries on. And you just know he's gonna DNF next race. Like,
No, he's not gonna DNF. He's gonna finish P18, bro, on merit. P18 merit, bro. No. He's not even gonna DNF. He's just gonna be very slow. Like,
you
you
know,
know,
I saw a tweet. Like there was wait, just quickly, there was a tweet, I think. Someone, oh, I think it was a stadium, maybe in America. I can't remember where, but like a company or a stadium or something. They lit up their stadium in orange as like support for Daniel during his like tough time. And then someone tweeted it saying like if someone did this for me, I'll just retire. Like that's so embarrassing. The sympathy for Ricardo is insane. They're like, oh, we can't wait for him to be good again. Oh, he needs to come back. Oh, like can't wait until he's fasting. Like surely that's just patronizing at that point.
it's
Like
just sad, man. Like, I think like he's obviously had like a good career and all of that, and he's won races and stuff. So when this happens, it's so unfamiliar, and it's just like, why is this
yeah.
happening to me? Ah, sad.
Well, I mean, that basically covers it. I mean, were there any like controversies or something? Oh, you know what? Yeah, actually, the FIA Vettel, did you see? Actually, you probably didn't in it. So I'm just going to be talking to myself. But when Vettel spun, he's done this before in Monza. I remember Monza distinctly. He spun in the Ferrari. I think it was 2019. And as he rejoins the track, I think he like crashes into Stroll. It was in a Ascari. He crashes into Stroll, and then both of them do an unsafe rejoin pretty much because that's a fast area of the track. You're trying to spin your car around and get on the track as soon as possible. When he spun it, I think it was turn 4. he does the 180, and as he's coming back on the track, he looks like he's about to crash into Tsunoda. And I thought he might have at least got noted for that as an unsafe rejoin because it looked really dodgy on the thing. So I just wanted to mention it in case anyone else saw that or thought it might have been like like I wouldn't have been surprised. Maybe not a penalty, but it definitely looked a little bit risky from him there. So I just thought that was worth noting. Before we get into the predictions, just about the race in general. We've spoken about team orders. One last thing. Mercedes, P3 and P4, which means in terms of pace, they're horrendous, but in terms of performance, they've come away second best team from this race behind Red Bull. Do you think reliability, because they haven't had any engine failures there yet, but Red Bull have had, like 3 or something? Ferrari have now had probably like 3,
No, Red
but
Bull have
plus
had
Sainz's retirements.
4. Red Bull have had 4 engine, 4 DNFs so far.
4 DNFs, and then Ferrari have had Sainz being pretty bad, and then a couple reliability issues. Like, if this carries on, this is just buying Mercedes more time. So, do you think they could be still in it? Slightly,
No,
sort of. No. No? All right.
I think they'll want to stick to P3 so they get more time in the wind tunnel and stuff come mid-season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but then, okay, so what do you think? This was the situation we were talking about earlier. If the gap's really close, and
exactly, so they'll want to keep the gap
collecting.
close. They want to keep the gap close, and then mid-season comes, they get the time, and then they jump ahead of the teams.
And then Lewis Hamilton's second half of the season, and he wins the championship.
No, he doesn't.
I'm calling it now. I'm calling it here.
Well,
Lewis Hamilton, second half of the season merchant. He's gonna do it. Light work.
We both know it's not gonna happen.
It'll get stolen.
He'll be walking around with a cane, bro, by mid-season. Like, if the cars keep going like this, bro, Lewis will be walking around like with a cane, bro, by mid-season.
I hate that you've just put the image in my head because I've just imagined him with the most just insane outfit. Like, I've imagined him with like Willy Wonka, do you know what I mean? Like full on top hat, multicolored suit, and then the cane as well with the boots and stuff.
You're welcome.
That's a great. I kind of want to Photoshop that now. All right, I might try it. By Photoshop, I just mean like Snapchat sticker. Right. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about the race? Or
Nope.
should we go straight into
Let's do predictions.
Predictions? All right. So we do fantasy team first normally, don't we?
Yeah. Can we just talk about how I lost a lead for the first time?
I know it's finally happened. It's finally happened. I've been waiting for this day for so long, and it wasn't even me. But our friend who, well, he's used this Mega Driver, so it's not like a net P1. It's like everyone else has pitted and he hasn't, but like the other way around. So it's not really a net P1, but we'll take it. By 1 point, by one singular point, he is ahead.
It's painful.
And he did it by coming 8th in the race week with 87 points in Baku. Insane.
I think I came last that week, honestly.
Oh my god, how is he first? I've just seen he turboed Leclerc, Sainz, and Ferrari all in the team. That's insane. But do you know who did come first this race week? It was me. Come on, 147 points. I'm so annoyed I didn't switch out Ferrari for Red Bull. But listen, I'm just too elite. We've got Leclerc in there who retired, so nothing really happened. But I've turboed Perez because I'm actually so smart. I've got Gasly in there, Vettel and Alonso. All I needed to do, I think I've got spare money as well. So if I finesse that slightly, got Red Bull in there as the constructor, I could have had a banging week. But it wasn't meant to be. I'll take the first place. I am now
5th.
200. You didn't have to say it like that. Like you didn't have to say 5th like that. But I am 5th. But I'm like 200 points behind first, which I will take, to be honest. I will take it. And I'm 5th by under 100. 150 points will get me third. So listen, a good Mega Driver week will actually propel me to first. I just need a good Mega Driver week.
Sure. See, that's the. Do you take the risk now or do you leave it to later?
I don't know, because I know for a fact people are going to start using them with only a couple races to go. And I don't want to, if I use it at the same week you do, then, you know, like nothing really happens. So I need to do it at a week you don't, so I gain. We'll have to see. It's tough. It's heating up. I'll leave the code as I always do in the audio and the YouTube description. So make sure you join, see if you can. We've got 13 members. Winner gets nothing at the moment, but we might come up with something maybe later.
Bag of sweets.
And then we get our actual predictions. Let me see what happened. Okay, so you're gonna have to keep score for me. Qualifying. All right. You said it would be Leclerc, Max, and Perez. I said Max, Perez, Leclerc. Oh, what? Oh, yeah, Leclerc got pole. Leclerc, Perez, Max.
So you
Perez.
got, wait, did you get two of them?
No, I got one.
I got one as well.
And then you got.
I got
Yeah,
one as well.
okay. All right,
It's
so it's
1-1.
even. The race was
Race.
booked. You said Max, Perez, Charles. I said, oh, we both said the same thing. It was Max, Perez, Charles.
So it's
That was
3-3 basically.
so that was even. Driver of the day. I think I know who it was. So you said Max. I said Fernando Alonso, and it was actually Lewis Hamilton. So
Dead.
neither of us there. Oh no, I've just seen the number of DNFs you've predicted, and that might be right. So I said 2. You said 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 5. It was 5. You actually just finessed it by Ferrari engines. That's so sick.
Is that
Oh,
what, 5-2 now? Or is it 6-2?
I actually don't know, and I don't want to look. Yeah, it's 5-2. Wait, no, it's not. I'm looking at the wrong week.
You're,
Yeah,
you're like that, you know, that
it's
crying face emoji. I just, you know, when I
so
edit this afterwards, I put like a crying face emoji over your face.
I'm so pissed. Where is it? 6-2.
6-2. Don't cry.
I can't believe this. I actually can't believe this. The
That's
DNFs. You scraped it by the DNFs. Scraped it.
so.
It's mad.
It's called a
All right.
talent, bro. It's Baku. Why? How would you predict two,
It was
like two
boring. Was it
DNFs
not
at
boring?
Baku?
It was boring. You were expecting crashes. There were no crashes, so I should have been right.
It's Baku, bro. Something like Max. His tire went out last time. Stroll, his tire went out last time. It's not a crash. Their tire
That's
died.
2 retirements. That's 2.
You know what happened like 5 minutes, like a while ago, actually, before we started? A bird literally flew into my window. Like it's off topic, but like I can literally see like vermin and it just flew
Yeah.
straight into the. It's like, oh, where am I going? Anyways, off topic, but incredibly funny.
I was gonna say it's better control than Latifi. No? Alright, cool. Fine. Okay, quality top 3. So we're going to Canada in a couple days for a quality double header that completely makes sense.
Charles
Just
Max Perez.
interesting. There was a tweet put out that said a lot of people now in F1 Twitter haven't seen, or just F1 fans in general, have never seen a Canadian Grand Prix, which is insane
That's
to
so
be honest.
sad. That's
I
so
know
sad.
it's tragic. Imagine
We
being
need
in
a
the
Jensen Button type race now.
Yeah. Right, what did you say? Leclerc first.
Yeah, Charles Max Perez.
MV. All right. Oh, okay, so let me think about this.
You think about it
You
and you
know what,
still
Charles
lose, so
Paul.
just
I'm
you
gonna
think
say
about it
Perez
and you
before
lose.
Max. Perez before Max.
Sure. You're still gonna
Just
lose, so
shut
it
up.
doesn't make any difference. Just put Lewis on pole, bro.
Shut up.
Put Lewis on pole. I thought you were a Lewis
He's really
fan,
good at
yeah?
this track, to be fair. He's good at this track, but it's also bumpy, so I don't trust them.
Put Lewis on pole, bro.
I don't trust Mercedes.
Okay.
You know,
Race.
right, go on then. What do you reckon?
Max Perez Charles.
Max with another win.
I don't trust Ferrari, bro.
Yeah, that's understandable. You know, I'm gonna say Perez. I don't know why. I just kind of want to back Perez. Is he good at this circuit? Is Perez
No.
good at Canada?
Yeah, he's very good. He's
Last
very
time.
good. He is elite, bro.
And it was the last Canadian Grand Prix, 2019. Oh my God, that's
Bro,
so
he
long.
is the best at the Canadian Grand Prix, man. He
Uh,
won every single one. He always wins. Just put Perez to win. Come on, man.
I want to because I don't just want to put Max. That's so boring. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say Max comes second. Or do I
Okay,
say
do
that he
Perez,
retires?
Lewis,
Does he
George.
retire? Does he
Perez, Lewis,
retire?
George. Perez, Lewis,
I'm
George.
gonna say Perez, Charles, George. I'm gonna say Max is retiring. Oh, but does George actually? No, I'm gonna go with science. I'm gonna say the double Ferrari podium. You know what? I'm backing Ferrari. No, I'm not. George Russell. Does he finish
I
ahead
like
of
how
Sainz?
you're backing George, not
Yeah.
Lewis.
You know, no. You know, what? I'm gonna say Perez, Leclerc, Sainz.
Sure,
How about that?
sure.
Go on then. Driver of the day.
Max.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Perez. Let's make this interesting. Pure differences.
Four
And now,
DNS. Four DNS.
that's a good number. That is a nice number of DNFs.
Just copy me. Maybe then you get some points.
You know what? How about I'll just start going first, and then I'll take the easy option, and then you'll just switch up to make it interesting. How about that?
No, I'll just copy you,
Fine.
basically. If you take my choice, then I'll just do the same thing. I just copy you the whole year, so I make sure I win.
Wow. I'll complain to the FIA like Christian Horner.
It's okay. The FIA might get removed. Did you hear about this?
Oh, I mean, I saw something about this a couple weeks ago, but I haven't seen an update since.
Anyways, that's off topic. Let's continue. It's just because
Yeah,
you said
I
I'll complain to the FIA.
think that's it, isn't it? Predictions. Yeah, we're all done.
You
All
want to do
right.
the outro?
Yeah, well, thank you for listening if you got this far. Check us out on our social medias and stuff. We've got I think we just hit 50 Twitter followers, so quality stuff.
Wow.
Join the discussion. I'll try and be more active. Obviously, exam season and that, we weren't really. I was tweeting a little bit, but not as much. But try and get Twitter polls going, discussions, tweet us and that. I will see all the mentions, so if you want to say anything, I will definitely see it. I probably shouldn't have said that, but fair enough. We've got an Instagram, we've got a TikTok that we should start posting on again very soon. If you listen to the audio, check out the video. Leave a rating actually as well, like Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen on. We have basically 4 listeners. So if you just want to help us out, it will help a lot. Trying to get us out there. We might actually have guests coming on soon, so look out for that. I don't know. We're taking this to the moon, to Ted Kravitz. That's where we're going, to Ted Kravitz.
Sure.
So yeah, join the journey in that. We will see you in pretty much a couple days probably for the Canadian Grand Prix. Thank you for listening and goodbye.